to another episode of Night Lights TV. As you can see, we're on location here at the County Administrative Building in San Diego. With the bay, beautiful bay behind us. We have an important press conference we're going to be talking about a little bit shortly about an initiative that will be historic if it passes in this state. And we want to be the first ones to bring it to you. So enjoy. You'll be seeing the politicians talk about this initiative that's going to be brought before California voters in the next 6 months, 5-6 months. You'll get a chance to sign a ballot. I'll tell you a little bit at the end on how to get in touch with these people so you can sign this ballot to get it on the vote, so you can vote on it. And it's very important as it pertains to citizenship, this economy here in California, which we know is struggling, and also with the illegal immigration issue, which is important to me and to many millions of Californians. Thank you very much.
The Taxpayer Revolution. The contents can be read at taxpayerrevolution.org. We've got some good speakers here today that are going to tell you about it. First, we're going to have some opening comments by former State Senator Bill Morrow. And next, we will have small talk by Peter Nunez, who is the former Assistant Secretary of the United States Treasury and also Chairman of the Board of the Center of Immigration Studies in Washington, D.C. All right, we'll get started right now with former State Senator Bill Morrow.
It's an honor to be here this afternoon, something I've been waiting for a long time. Many of you might think, and if you did think this, you'd be wrong. We just didn't step out here today. This is it's not the culmination, but really the beginning, the big step where we go out to the people with petitions with this Taxpayer Protection Act. And I can tell you that I've been working very closely with Ted Hilton on this for close to 2 years on it now. So I've been looking very much forward to this day. You know, I shared with him that as a state legislator, a politician for 14 years, I never met a mic I didn't like. But since term limits, and I've returned to the rational world, the real world, back as a civilian, if you will, as an American and California citizen, I don't have the same compunction to talk as long as I normally used to. So I told Ted I would say a few words, and a few words it will be. But in 14 years in the legislature, it didn't take me very long to come to this realization, and it's still true today, that if there is going to be any meaningful reform, immigration reform, it will never come from at least the California legislature. Not today it won't. It didn't 14 years when I was elected, and it's not going today. And it would seem that the same can be said at the federal level, with the same with the present administration as well too. In California, the people have to take the step forward, and I thank God that we have the initiative process in California for us to do exactly that. Bear in mind, as statistics show, that in California, 25% of the births in California, 25% are to parents who are illegal immigrants. By the way, if you do the math, it comes out to about 300 a day, or 109,000 a year. And in terms of the public costs associated with that, that's $400 million a year. And that's not chump change. Not in this day when we have a state, I don't know if it meets the legal terms or not, but it certainly, the common man understands what bankruptcy is all about. In our state, if it's not gone officially bankrupt, it's there as far as we're concerned. $400 million is a lot. You'll see in these petitions, the Attorney General and the language, that right away, right for the top, this petition, this act will save the state of California $1 billion. That's a minimum. Let me tell you, it's going to be a lot more than that. So I'm here to show my support. I'm looking forward to the fight ahead of us, and I'm just proud to stand with Ted, with Peter Nunez, and everybody else here today. This is going to be what it has to be, a solid grassroots organization. In the last 2 years or so, you may not have seen the grass. It's because we've been building the roots. We've been underground. Now you're going to see it grow and grow fast, and we're going to have a victory when this proposition passes in June of 2010. And it's probably more words than I really intended to be a few. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. The next speaker will be Peter Nunez, who is the former Assistant Secretary of the U.S. Treasury. Thank you.
Let me start off by commending Ted for the work that he's put in to get us to this point today. Ted's been involved in the attempts to reform immigration law for longer than any of us want to probably remember, going back to the early 90s. This was 7 years after Congress had passed essentially the current immigration law that's on the books, which started us down this road to disaster. It became clear in the 70s and has become clearer every year since then that our immigration policy at the federal level is completely bankrupt. It makes no sense from any perspective, common person to the national interest, to the national security. It makes no sense whatsoever. Congress has diddled around now for a little over 40 years and made some half-hearted attempts to fix the problem in 1986, which failed miserably, 1996, which had no effect whatsoever. And over the last 6 or 8 years, we've heard a sort of a litany from both leadership of both political parties talking about so-called comprehensive immigration reform, which for them means amnesty. That's all it means. I think for most Americans, when we think of comprehensive immigration reform, we should be thinking about something a lot greater and a lot more comprehensive than giving 12 million people that are here illegally amnesty and letting them stay, and starting another whole flow of chain migration that could produce another 60 to 100 million legal immigrants over the next 20 years after that. That's what we saw as a result of the amnesty in 1986. So why are we here? We're here because the federal government has demonstrated without any question their unwillingness, not their inability, their unwillingness to solve the problem. The states are pretty much, state and local governments have pretty much stayed out of the fray for historical reasons, thinking that the federal government is a federal issue and the federal government should respond. But as time goes on and the impact of their failed policies in Washington become more apparent, it's clear that states have to act to defend themselves. And we've seen this happen in Arizona, in Oklahoma, and various other states around the country. So it's absolutely clear that while this isn't the best way to solve the problem, and the best way would be for the President and Congress to do what's right, we know that's not going to happen. So we know that, as Senator Morrow indicated, political leadership in California is on the wrong side of the issue. So the only way this is going to get fixed is if the people of the state rise up, as we did in 1994, Prop 87, and put in place some provisions to try to deal with at least some parts, some of the bad aspects of the current illegal immigration debacle. There's basically three things you have to deal with if you're going to deal with illegal immigration. You have to have border security, you have to have workplace enforcement, and you have to deal with benefits, which is one of the major factors why people come here illegally and why they stay. This initiative tackles the benefits aspect of this problem, and I applaud Ted Hilton for putting this together and getting it through the process to the point where we're here today to announce the kickoff to this campaign. So I'm happy to be here to join these individuals, and I think most Californians who want this problem solved. I guess it's a tragedy that we have to do it this way, that the country is facing this kind of a problem, but there's just no other choice. So I ask all Californians to